Me and Andrew thought it'd be great for him to come and give you a little blurb about maybe some of the things he's going to do. And then we're going to have a little prayer with him as we send him off from Hillcrest. And tell you, this he's awesome in the mission field. If you've ever got to work with him, this guy is solid. And I just know God's going to use him in an amazing way down there. And I look forward to hearing when he comes back all the stuff that he has done. So, it's all yours, Nick.
Going to Brazil, do missions. I'm joining a team with Ben called ABBA, and they help kids, teens, and families. They try to help families to just mentor them. There's a lot of street kids there, so a lot of kids they decide to run away, and then they get into crime and drugs and that kind of stuff. And then they go into the slum areas and try to help the street kids just by trying to provide food and shelter and guidance and that kind of stuff. But the cool part, the main focus of the ministry is to just share the gospel, Jesus, and that just excites me, and I'm just excited to be part of that ministry here. That's what it is.
So I'm going to ask if there's any deacons here, if they'd come up. But I'm also going to ask if there's any youth leaders here, because I know there's some youth leaders that have put a lot of time and effort into this fella up here. So if you guys would come on up, I know Jay would appreciate that as well. You know, Jay's grown up through the middle school and high school youth. I think Lynn Lomax is downstairs, but if she was here, she could tell you stories about Jason. Not always good stories, but stories. But you know what? I think it's a testament to the children's workers and youth workers that we've had here over the years that a guy like Jay came in here, and he'll even tell you he wasn't the greatest when he first came, but to be able to send him off into the mission field, what an honor this is. So we're just going to have a little prayer with Jay, and just remember him in your prayers over the next 3 months while he's away. Let's just pray. Gracious God and Heavenly Father, what an amazing moment this is that, Lord, we can send out one of our own into the mission field. Lord, I've had the privilege of going on 2 mission tours with Jay and working with him through the youth program. And this guy truly has a heart for you, and the way he works with the kids, both here at Hillcrest and when we've been in New York, to sit back and watch him minister to them, Lord, truly is amazing. Lord, we know you have things designed for him to do in Brazil, and Lord, we just pray that you would keep him safe, you would give him the words, you would give him the knowledge that he needs to carry out your mission. But Lord, I know most of all he is most excited about just going and sharing the gospel with the kids and the families that they just don't know you. So Lord, give him the words to say in the moments that he needs to say them. And Lord, we truly look forward to hearing when he comes back the ways that you have used him and the great things that he has done. And Lord, we just pray this thing on him now. In your name, amen.
So if your name is Daniel here today, or you're watching online and you see your name Daniel is in the Bible, good for you. There's people that, their name's not in the Bible. Well, there's a special place for them. The book of Lowell. We'll have to write our own book, Lowell. The book of Bessie. It'll be a broken vessel. Lowell, see? Anyways, won't go there. I'll stop. So in this chapter, Daniel 6, we're in the second part of our series, and we're talking about Daniel and Daniel's character. Daniel's character, but it's Daniel's character under fire. And so last week we talked about how Daniel was ripped out from his comfort zone, ripped out from probably his girlfriend, probably ripped out from his friends, from his family, knowing he'd never go back, and was forced to study all sorts of stuff. And had to serve the king, and rose to excellence because he chose not to defile himself with other means. He didn't want offer other gods. He was very, in his heart, he felt convicted, and he obeyed God. And for 3 years, at the end of it, he was the best. He was the top of his class. There was no one like Daniel. And so we come to Daniel chapter 6, and we realize that the government has changed drastically. It's almost like in Egypt, it said just before the 400 years of slavery, and there became a new pharaoh who did not know Joseph. Well, it's the same kind of thing happened here. New leadership came in. It was Darius, King Darius, and he put in some new things. But you know what? The excellence of Daniel rose to the top. Let's read this first verse here, first few verses. And it says this, I'm reading from the NIV, which is the same as your Pew Bible. I don't know the page in your Pew Bible, but it's definitely in the NIV. It says, it pleased Darius to appoint 120 satraps, be kind of like MLAs or people who are in charge of provinces, to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them. So you had 120, and you probably had 40. Is that 120 divided by 40? Under each of these extra special leaders. So one of these 3 was Daniel. Verse 3 now. It says, now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the satraps by his exceptional, some translations say, spirit of excellence, by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. Now this just reminds me of Job. Hey, Satan, have you seen the servant Job? Isn't he amazing? I think King Darius was blown away by Daniel's character. He was blown away by the way that Daniel handled all the little things in administration. Because when you're in charge, there's communication issues, there's administration issues, there's delegation issues, and all these little things that come up. And yet Daniel approached everything in character. His character is shown in the little things. He wasn't doing these little things. He wasn't becoming in charge simply because he wanted attention and recognition. He was doing these things because it's simply how he lived. In our own lives, when we're serving, we have to recognize that we might not get recognized. And we met a lady who used to work in the children's department here. Used to work in the nursery. And she doesn't work in the nursery anymore, but that was part of her identity. And maybe she was never recognized. Maybe you served somewhere and you poured your heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears, and then they cancel the program. You're like, was that a waste? Absolutely not. Not when it comes to kingdom values, because there's a reward in heaven for those kind of things. Abigail Van Buren, that's kind of a cool name, she says, and it's in the Bible, Abigail, the best index to a person's character is A, how he treats people who can't do him any good, and B, how he treats people who can't fight back. Interesting. Well, we move on to verse 4, and it says this, at this, the administrators and satraps tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, because it was normal for people to accept bribes, to do whatever they were doing to get what they wanted, and break the rules and blackmail and all these things. But they were unable to do so. And again, I don't think Daniel was thinking like, ooh, I got to be good unless I get caught. No, I think Daniel lives his life in such a way as before God. Because remember last week, we recognized that the angels will say later on in the book of Daniel, Daniel is a friend of God. Daniel was living like he was living out of love for God. Continues to read, they could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. If that's all it takes to be excellent, is to be trustworthy, not corrupt, and not negligent. Wow, that's not that hard to do. So says Andrew, not in conversion. Finally, these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man, Daniel, unless it has something to do with the law of his God. So he's taking his strength and trying to turn it to weakness, except God is never a weakness. Gamaliel Bradford says this, in great matters, men show themselves as they wish to be seen. In small matters, as they are. We get to know both the character of Daniel and those opposed him So the plot thickens, and they decide, the administrators and the satraps, they decide, we've got to get rid of this Daniel guy. He's going to put us out of a job. He's going to take us out of our place of prominence. Or maybe I want that job. And if I get rid of the competition, then maybe Darius will choose me. We've got to get rid of this Daniel guy. So the plot thickens. And the flatterers come and play on the king's pride. They say in verse 6, so these administrators and satraps went as a group to the king and said, may King Darius live forever. Some more? Yes, yes. The royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except for you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Man, they were laying it on thick, and Darius was buying into it. It's called playing on your pride. We're all susceptible to that kind of stuff, right? Someone's telling us something nice, and we don't realize we're being buttered up for something else because Darius is so excited about what Daniel's doing, he can't think anyone else would not be excited. Sometimes when you do a good job, someone else doesn't get excited. For example, I can remember there was a time when Holly and I were first dating, and I'd be constantly getting her flowers and stuff, and I had some of the men from the church says, you gotta put a stop to that, young man. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm buying my girlfriend flowers. And like, you're making the rest of us look bad. Buy her some flowers. Amazing. Yes. So when you do something good, sometimes it makes other people look and feel like they're not doing this good, right? And sometimes when you find freedom, anyone here, if you've ever had an addiction to cigarettes, it's funny, as soon as you decide you're going to quit, man, everyone's offering you free cigarettes. I used to hang out with the smokers crowd. I didn't smoke myself, but I saw what happened. One of my friends, I'm going to quit. It's like, oh. It's almost like they didn't want someone else to get free, because then maybe I had to get free, right? Anyways, this is part of how humans work. It goes on to say, they continue to flatter the king and say, now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered. So innocent sounding. In accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. So King Darius put the decree in writing. It sounded good. I mean, this guy had not seen Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He had not seen the miracle in the furnace of fire. He had no idea. He may have heard little things about it, but like, whatever, that's not real. He hadn't experienced that. He hadn't experienced God. So in his mind, hey, nothing wrong with praying to the king. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And we often make decisions based on our emotions or things seeming to be or sounding like a good idea at the time. And King Darius did have advisors around him, but whose back did they have? They had their own back. They didn't have his interest in mind. And when it comes time for us to make important decisions, we have to be careful. Who are our advisors? Who are those counsel that we keep? Who is it that we submit ourselves to hear and listen? Are they people that have our best interest at heart? If you want to talk to someone who has your best interest at heart, it's your mom. Right? Any moms here have your kids' best interest at heart? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not a mom. But you do. It's in you. You have your kids' best interest at heart. Now, they don't always want to hear it, and as they get older, they have to come to you. But who is it around you that you're allowing to speak into your life? Do they have wisdom? Are they a few years ahead of you? Have they already walked through what you've walked or walking through right now? If you want advice on how to decorate a church for VBS, talk to those three right there. You guys nailed it when you decorated this church for VBS. That was fabulous. Incredible. I don't know if I said that to the public, but it was incredible. If you want advice on how to swing a pickaxe, go to Don Small. He's got the pictures to prove it. He swung it so perfectly that when he hit his foot, he didn't break a cartilage, didn't break a bone. He hit the exact perfect spot. So, if you want advice on how to swing a pickaxe, you can talk to Don Small. Daniel would have heard about what was going on. He would have known that the people around him were talking. He's a little older, he's a little more mature. He would have been around the court system. He would have been around the drama of the court. And he would have been experienced. And he would have known what was being planned. And it's interesting what he did. Did you see what he does? Do you guys know the story? Want to know what he does? Well, this is what C.S. Lewis says. He says, surely what a man does when he's taken off his guard is the best evidence for what sort of man he is. If there's rats in his cellar, you're most likely to see them if you go in very suddenly. Let's see what Daniel did when this decree was given. When Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. A window. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, to Jehovah, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Rapha, all those different names of God, just as he had done before. He didn't put up a big fuss. He knew what was coming down the pipe, and he did not waver. He didn't pull a tantrum. He went to God. We should all learn from this. I've done a good job. I've been a good person. Suddenly life's not fair. How do I handle it? Daniel gets on his knees. He doesn't even go to the king and say, they're trying to kill me! That's what I'll do. No, he goes to God. He gets on his knees and trusts the Lord. And verse 11 said, then these men went to the group. Just picture this, like, the nerd coming around, looking for Daniel to mess up. They went as a group and found Daniel praying, asking God for help. They were just tickled pink. They were jumping up and down in their little outfits. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. And watch what they do. Did you not publish a decree? They're tightening the noose around the king's neck. Very slowly. And Darius suddenly realizes what's going on. Didn't you publish a decree that during the next 30 days, anyone who prays to God or a human being except you, your majesty, will be thrown into the lion's den? Just the tone of the way the question's being asked, you know it's a setup. It's like your children at Christmas time. Do you remember that vertigo I saw the other day? Just wondering if you remembered it. Talking. Then they said to the king, the king answered, the decree stands. In accordance with the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be repealed, because if he repealed this, we're not sure if this is Darius, the big king, or if this is somebody who was set up and he just took a new name. Because they say in history that when someone takes on a new administrator type position, like Darius does here, they can sometimes take on a new name. So if he had broke the rules, he would have been out as well. So he had his hands tied. So he has to say, the decree stands. But he knows they've got me. Then they said to the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. And I can just imagine the king's face just dropping. You guys are trying to rob me of my best man. You're trying to rob me of the guy I want to put in charge. I'm telling you, the king inside will be furious. You guys are messing up my kingdom. You guys are trying to control me. The king realized what was going on. Have you ever been in that place where your kids have played you off your spouse? I took it a step further. I think I've told the story before, but I remember we had this little thing at my grandmother's house in Grandma Ann. It said, if Mom says no, ask Grandma. Well, I tried that. You get in just as much trouble when you get found out, let me tell you. Mom said no, so you no. It's not really been beat or anything, but the hammer fell, we'll say that. When the king heard this, it says in verse 14, he was greatly distressed rest. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. He wanted to save Daniel. Then the men went as a group to King Darius and said to him, "Remember, Your Majesty," just right in his face, dig it right in his face, "that according to the law of the Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king issues can be changed." Just rubbing it in his face. Thanks for the reminder, just like Job's comforters. Those guys wanted blood, and it looked like they were going to get it. Verse 16 goes on to say, "The king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, 'May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you.'" It's one thing I've heard at Jay's funeral. Before Jay was even a Christian, God was chasing after him. There's evidence, he quoted the scripture from Isaiah 41:10, that "do not be afraid, for I will be with you. My right hand will hold you." And he told us, before we go into an operation, that he felt like a hand was holding up his head. And he said it felt like a right hand. Jay wasn't what you'd call a church-going Christian. But I believe that God was pursuing him, and I believe that God was wooing him into relationship. So much so at the end where this peace and the warm fuzzies he felt on the outside, when you get in God's presence sometimes, he said, "I don't feel on the outside anymore, I feel it on the inside." He was baptized and he was saved. But God was chasing him even before he made a verbal commitment to Christ. And here we have Darius. "Oh, let your God save you." And then a stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet ring, and with the rings of his nobles. So you gotta remember, here's the king putting the seal in the wax, downcast and sad, and here are these other guys. "Woo! Where we got Daniel? Woo! Sorry, kingy, we got Daniel." Just rubbing it in his face. "You can't do nothing, king. We're in control here." And they sealed it so that Daniel's situation may not be changed. They knew the king would want to do something if he could get away with it. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night without eating and without any entertainment being brought to him, and he could not sleep. He unknowingly probably fasted and prayed for Daniel. The king didn't order the stone there. Those other guys were doing everything in their power to go against the king's wishes. They maybe thought they were doing the king a favor, but I really presume that they had their own best interests at heart. Verse 19 says, "At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. And when he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, 'Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, has he been able to rescue you from the lions?'" I called the church the Good Shepherd the other day, and I got to talk to Pastor Chris, and we like to joke around a little bit, and I said, "Hello, I was planning to start a church plant next to your church, and we're going to call it Church the Great Shepherd. Is that okay with you?" That guy is quick. This is what he said. He said, "Oh, that's okay, because next year we're planning on changing the name of the church to the Even Better Shepherd next year." The guy is quick. And so we have the mourning king wondering if he was alive. And the question that came to my mind was, would our community mourn and wail for us if somebody tried to close us down? Would we have, and will we have, and do we have enough of an impact on this community and that community that if someone tried to throw us in a bunch of lions' dens, would they mourn the closing of Hillcrest Baptist Church? I think there'd be a little outrage right now, but I want to hear an uproar. I want us to be a community that loves our community so much and serve so well that there'd be riots and buildings would be burning down. You want to have Grace Baptist Church? Because, folks, there's a lot of churches closing in the neighborhood, and no one really cares. They care, but they don't really care. What are all the reasons behind that? I don't know, but I know that for us, I want us to be so mission-minded. I want us to be so loving that our absence, I want us to have such a spirit of excellence that our absence in the community would be met with no eating, no sleeping, and no entertainment because we're so distraught. And then we come to verse 21. Daniel answered. Now let's put ourselves in Daniel's situation for a minute. We've been thrown down, pit, maybe lowered down. We're surrounded by hungry lions. Oh, we're so used to like little cute cartoons, but real hungry lions that would rip you and tear you apart. You'd have to change your linens afterwards, you know what I'm saying? You spent the night wondering, are these guys, what's going on here? Maybe he was aware of an angelic presence. Maybe he's thinking, they're sleeping. Don't move. What would be going on in your heart? He had the entire night to think about what he was going to say. He could have said anything. It says Daniel answered. Did he answer and say, those guys, they set me up? You know, what did he say? You betrayed me, king. You threw me in here. King put the stone back. It's just, right? No. Listen to what he says. Verse 21. May the king live forever. It's the same words that was used by those other guys when they first came in. But there was a very big difference in the way it was used. One was flattery, and one was Daniel honestly, earnestly saying, may you live forever. Because I know you love me, even though this has happened. And he says, my God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, your majesty. Daniel's character shows up here so strong. He could have accused, tantrum, he could have done whatever he wanted to, and he probably would have been justified. And yet, we find grace and forgiveness. There's no room for bitterness in a heart full of love. It's interesting what happens next. I guess, actually I should mention that Daniel means the Lord is my judge. The Lord is my judge. And he says, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, and I was found innocent in his sight. The Lord is my judge. Now it's kind of funny, people nowadays say, you can't judge me. Yeah, Judge Judy can. So can the police. I'm allowed to use my brain, and guess what? At the end, we all do stand before the judge. Verse 23 says, the king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den. And when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him, because he had trusted in his God. And when we come across these lion-type situations, we need to trust in God. Verse 24 goes on to say, we're almost at the end here. At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. And before they reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. So we know they were hungry lions. We know there was an angel. But I thought it was amazing that Daniel never once asked for the lions to those men. You know, I wonder how the king must have felt. These guys have made me kill one true guy I could count on. They had shown the king their character, and he knew he needed to get rid of them. Because if they would kill an innocent man, well, maybe his own life would have been in danger too. Maybe they would have grown feeling a little powerful or pompous. It's amazing what happens to Darius. He goes on to finish the chapter, and he says this: "The king Darius wrote to all the nations and peoples of every language in all the earth." It's a complete reversal from the 30 days of purpose of praying to King Darius. It changed to this: "May you prosper greatly. I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom, people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." And it goes on to say, so Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius, and also known as the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So contrastful to what was said before. Don't pray to me anymore. No, I was wrong. Don't pray to me. Pray to the living God. Daniel's character had a profound effect on the king. And when you get around someone like that, it makes you want to be like them. God has work for us to do. He's called us to be a vessel for him. And I'm going to close with this story. So I'll ask the worship team to come up now, just because I know it's getting a little later. I want to leave it. It says this. This story is called The Chosen Vessel. The master was searching for a vessel to use. On the shelf there were many. Which one would he choose? "Take me," cried the gold one. "I'm shiny and bright. I'm of great value and I do things just right. My beauty and luster will outshine the rest. And for someone like you, master, gold would be best." The master passed on with no word at all. He looked at his silver urn, narrow and tall. "I'll serve you, dear master. I'll pour out your wine. And I'll beat your table whenever you dine. My lines are so graceful, my carvings so true, and my silver will always compliment you." Unheeding, the master passed on to the brass. It was wide-mouthed and shallow, and polished like glass. Here! Here!" cried the vessel. "I know I will do. Place me on your table for all men to view." "Look at me!" called the goblet of crystal so clear. "My transparency shows my contents so dear. Though fragile am I will serve you with pride, and I'm sure I'll be happy in your house to abide." The master came next to a vessel of wood, polished and carved, it solidly stood. "You may use me, dear master," the wooden bowl said, "but I'd rather use me for fruit, not for bread." Then the master looked down and saw a vessel of clay. Empty and broken it helplessly lay. No hope had the vessel that the master might choose to cleanse and make whole, to fill and to use. "Ah," said the master, "this is the vessel I've been hoping to find. I will mend and use it and make it all mine. I need not the vessel of pride itself, nor the one who is narrow to sit on the shelf, nor the one who is big-mouthed and shallow and loud, nor one who displays his contents so proud, not the one he thinks can do all things just right, but this plain earthen vessel, filled with my power and might." Then gently he lifted the vessel of clay, mended it and cleansed it, and filled it that day. Spoke to it kindly. "There's work you must do. Just pour out to others as I pour into you." What shows our character? Being put under fire. We are broken vessels. We're not perfect. But as God mends us and puts our character in place, He will fill us. And it's our job to pour into others, into our community, into each other, to love one another. Allow God's character to grip hold of your heart so we can minister with a spirit of excellence and raise the